During England's 1648 Civil War siege of Colchester, Royalists positioned a massive gun atop St. Mary at the Wall church tower, crewed by sharpshooter One-Eyed Jack Thompson, to hammer parliamentarian lines for 11 weeks until a counter-strike demolished the wall beneath it, sending the weapon and the tower crashing down irreparably. Simple question. Why am I sharing this with you on a quiz show? So give me the fun back. This is the audience question for episode number 137 of Are You Quizzing Me, your favorite quizzing and trivia podcast show. Cue the music. Welcome to Are You Quizzing Me? I am Vineet Nair with my co-host Aditya Kashyap. This is a quizzing trivia podcast show. Join us as we dive deep into history, science, pop culture, and so much more. Let's get quizzing. And we're back for episode number 137. What you just heard prior to the musical sting was the audience question for this week. It's some question which I will answer at the end of today's episode. Now it's time for the audience question part 2 or audience question junior, or simply put, the Instagram audience question that Aditya put up last week. So, Aditya, who was the fastest finger first?
All right. So the social media audience question, SMAQ.
Smack? You want to call it Smack?
Do we have a name? I think we have a name.
I think we have a name. We officially have a name.
The Smack. The Smack of episode 136 that I am revealing now in episode 137 was a picture of two famous people meeting. One of them clearly visible is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahatma Gandhi. And the other person was a big fan of Gandhi and really wanted to meet him. He managed to do this when Gandhi was in London in 1931. Gandhi had no idea who this famous person was before he met him, which is very surprising because I'm sure almost everybody listening to this podcast has heard of this person, has seen this person, probably has specific memories associated to this person. The question was who this person was. And before I tell you what the answer is, props to Nitin. Nitin got the answer right on Instagram. Well done, Nitin. The answer was Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin was the man in question who thought really highly of Mahatma Gandhi and really wanted to meet him. Managed to do that in London in 1931. And Gandhi, for the first time ever, heard of this person. We have asked questions in the past about Mahatma Gandhi's adventures with cinema. And apparently, there are only 2 films that he ever watched, and neither of them were Chaplin films. So, not too surprising that he had not heard of him. But yeah, from our perspective in 2026, it seems ludicrous for someone to have not heard of Charlie Chaplin. In any case, that is the historic meeting that happened in 1931. So, well done, Nitin. Good crack.
Yay. Well done, Nitin. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's my turn to start off the questions for this week.
Honestly, don't care, don't remember, don't know. But I have another audience question because today I have done one of my rabbit hole moments where I've gone down one Wikipedia article and it ended with me 3 days later, hungover, no food, no sleep, and with way too much trivia. So I'm going to try to fit all of it into this one episode. And I'm going to do audience question part 2. So actual part 2 for the audience question. We're really confusing our audience at this point with the names.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just smack them with questions.
Smack them. Oh God, Vineet, this is one of the winning moments of this podcast. Raja Bijai Sen, the Raja of Mandi, which was a former princely state in present-day Himachal Pradesh, in the late 1800s, wanted to gift his wife something. He married a bunch of times. One of the wives he really wanted to give something special to. What did he gift her that today is considered very iconic? Very iconic for, I would say, most people in India, definitely people in my city of Mumbai. What did Raja Bijai Sen gift one of his wives in the late 1800s that we would consider, Mumbaikars would consider iconic? A lot of Indians would also consider it iconic. Think about the question. I'll tell you the answer with Vineet at the end of the episode. But yes, Vineet, take it away with your first question of the podcast.
I'm going to tell you a list, and obviously you have to connect with a common factor between all of them. The movies, some of them are movies, some of them are books, some of them are plays, but there's a common connect with all of them. Ice Candy Man, Romeo and Juliet, Breaking Away, Kramer versus Kramer, On the Waterfront, It Happened One Night.
On the Waterfront, Kramer versus Kramer, Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
I'm assuming this is one of the older Romeo and Juliets. There have been a bunch. This in Candyman? What is Candyman?
Ice Candyman. That's a book. I'll tell you that. That's a book.
Okay. Because I was initially thinking this could potentially be Oscar nominations for both the leads.
No.
It sounds vaguely familiar that Meryl Streep got an Oscar nod for Kramer versus Kramer, but okay. No, okay, I'm off. Then I'm missing one on the list. So there was the Candyman, there was Romeo and Juliet, there was On the Waterfront, there was Kramer versus Kramer, and
Breaking Away and It Happened One Night.
Familiar names, nothing jumps out. No idea at all, completely blank. Give me a clue.
There is only one possible clue I can give you, which is fairly something of a gimme, but think Indian cinema.
All of them have had remake in Indian cinema, I assume.
That I think was fairly obvious from the clue, but I need you to be a little more specific.
Figured. Romeo and Juliet, think of Ram Leela, but I don't...
Some of them are inspirations, some of them are proper remakes. And this is not an exactly 100% exhaustive list.
Ram Leela is definitely something that was an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. I know there's a Kramer versus Kramer Indian version also.
Romeo and Juliet, I think you can say inspired is a better option.
I know the Kramer versus Kramer remake, or whether it was remake or it was inspired by, I think it, if I'm not wrong, I don't want to say Amir Khan was in it. I don't quite remember the name.
You're very, very close. Let's just say that.
Have they all been adapted into some Amir Khan film?
Very good. So these are all remakes which starred Amir Khan in one role or the other.
Which Romeo and Juliet film is Amir Khan?
Apparently, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak was heavily inspired by Romeo and Juliet style.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Which is why I said I won't say it's complete remake, but it's a remake. So let's see if you can get which movies have. Obviously, I left out the obvious ones from this, like Forrest Gump.
Lal Singh Chadda, sure, yeah.
Yes, and I left out Memento.
Gajini, sure, yeah.
Can you tell me Ice Candyman? This is the hardest of the lot, so let's get that out of the way. Ice Candyman.
No context at all to the story or the name was also so mysterious. Ice Candyman. Give me a genre maybe.
Oh, very serious cinema.
Sarfarosh.
No, even more serious. Like that is Amir Khan series. This is Amir Khan has a small role in this movie. It's not the lead.
Dhobi Ghat.
No.
Oh, what? Okay.
I'll give you one last clue. This is probably saying, but it's a Deepa Mehta film.
Oh my God, no, I don't remember. Which one is it?
Earth.
I was thinking, is it, I know it's not fire, but yeah, okay, Earth. Earth is the one.
We already mentioned Romeo and Juliet. Breaking Away, 1979 movie. It was remade to Jo Jeeta Wohi Sikandar.
I was just going to guess Jo Jeeta because it sounded like Breaking Away, cycling, yeah.
Kramer versus Kramer, 1979, remade to?
It's some...
Amir Khan and Manisha Koirala.
Akele Hum Akele Tum.
Very good. I was about to say very good soundtrack.
Very good soundtrack.
Yes. That was going to be my clue. On the Waterfront, 1954.
Ooh, interesting. I had no idea before this question that it is the case, but just because vague parallels in the story, I'm going to guess Ghulam.
Very good. It is Ghulam. Okay, so you have got most of those. Let's see. The last one on our list was It Happened One Night.
It Happened One Night is like is it a noir film of the 50s? I don't quite remember when it is from.
Rom-com, actually.
Oh, it's not a thriller, okay.
And it's a 1934 film, by the way.
No, yeah, then I have no idea at all.
Then this movie is Dil Hai Ki Manta Nahi. It's Dil Hai Ki Manta Nahi.
Dil Hai Ki Manta Nahi, literally can only think of the title track. But apart from that, I have no idea what this film was about.
There's one more movie I left off the list, but let's see if you can get it. An Affair to Remember.
An Affair to Remember. Not seen the original, so no, I don't even know what the genre is.
It's Mun.
I should have just trusted my gut. I was literally going to guess Mun just because of random word Affair to Remember. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. Okay, Mun.
But there's one more on the list, but I didn't put it in because, frankly speaking, it's a little bit of a stretch to say that it's an inspiration. You can just try to see if it's something that you can guess. The Prestige.
I don't even want to answer this question because when I watched the movie, I was so annoyed. I remember there was a review This guy literally reviewed the film, the one in question, which I shall not name. And he said, if you have not watched The Prestige, then this is an 8 on 10. But if you watch The Prestige, this is a 6 on 10. And I'm like,
Oh, God.
how do I unwatch
No,
The
it's a 5
Prestige?
on 10 in any review.
That also, I don't know why it was an 8 on 10 if I've not seen The Prestige. But how do you deprive yourself? In fact, if anything, every review should just say, go watch The Prestige instead. It was such a step down from the second part, because I generally think the second part was good. I think it's a good popcorn masala film. It's fun to watch. It's over the top in a fun way. I like the first two films. The third one was annoying. I shall not name the film. We shall move on.
Yes. It's just suffice to say that there is a loud sound 3 times.
Moving from that, you know what? Hitting you right back with another list. But because I like you, there's going to be surrounding information around this list before we get to the list. Okay? Tell me the identity of X. Who is X? X landed in present-day Kerala many, many years ago. I'm not telling you the timeline right yet. Many years ago. And was eventually martyred in Mylapore, which is near Chennai. A large community of people do believe this to be the case. There is a list of places in Kerala that is associated to X. You have to tell me who X is. Here's the list. I don't know why I'm doing this to myself, but let's try. Kodungalur, Palayur, Kotakavu, in brackets it says...
Kotakavu.
And let me just get through it. There's no point you correcting me every second time. I'm not even going to get it right. Kotakavu, in brackets it says Paravur, so that might have been the historical name, I'm not quite sure. Kokamangalam, I think I got that right. Niranam, Nilakal, Kollam, and Thiruvitham Code. Yeah.
It's the top of my head. I'm tempted to say something like a St. Thomas.
Too easy? Was it too easy?
I'm thinking of St. Thomas.
Making mincemeat of my question. I had no clue. I had absolutely no idea that St. Thomas the Apostle is considered by a large sect of Christians in India to be the first person to have brought Christianity to India. Like, pretty much as OG as it gets, if not for Jesus. So if St. Thomas the Apostle, the doubting Thomas as he was also called, was the man who brought Christianity to India, as some communities very strongly believe, that means that Christianity is pretty old in India, as old as it is in any other part of the world.
If this is, if you take this as a historical fact, it's actually prudent to say that Christianity came to India before it went to Rome.
Take that, white people. Okay.
And to clarify, I live in Parur.
Oh, okay.
St. Thomas Church is like half a kilometer away.
Yeah, damn. That was too easy. It made it too easy for you. But I figured that the Kerala connection might make it simple for you. I do apologize. I know there are supposed to be only 7 in the list. I mentioned 8. So I think I might have counted something twice. There is, and this time please feel free to correct me, Kodungalur.
Kodungalur, also known as Kraganor, which is the older British name for it, is also the site of Cheramanpalli, which is the oldest or actually the first mosque in India.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I know there is a lot of interfaith communities that exist. And
so the legend goes that the Cheraman Perumal, the king of that particular small region, actually traveled to Arabia during the time of Muhammad and converted.
Yeah. I've heard of this as well. Pretty insane if that is true. So Kodungalur, there is Kollam, there is Palayur, there is Kotakayal. How is it pronounced? Kottakkal. Oh my God, that the English betrayed me then. Kottakkal. There is Kokamangalam. Did I get that right?
I'm no idea which place that is. You'll have to kind of spell that out for me a little bit so I can.
Kokkamangalam.
Kokamangalam. Okay, Kokamangalam.
Kokamangalam. Niranam. Niranam.
Okay, that I'm not very familiar with that particular place name, but yeah, I'm guessing that's
Nilakal. So these are the 7 places. Nilakal, which also in brackets says Chayal for some reason. I'm not sure what that is. Anyway, so these are the 7 places which are considered to be the 7 churches that were established by Thomas the Apostle, by St. Thomas Christians. These are literally the group, the community, the
denomination.
the denomination that believes that Thomas the Apostle brought Christianity to India, the first person to bring it. They are called Saint Thomas Christians. So not only is the landing in Kerala establishing all these churches, which I assume are pretty religious sites till date, even his death is presumed to have happened in India. This happened instead of Kerala. This was closer to Chennai. So this was, according to Syrian Christian tradition, Thomas was killed with a spear at St. Thomas Mount in Chennai on 3rd July 72 AD or 72 CE, however you call it. And his body was interred at Mylapore. So this very deep connection to Christianity, somehow I had no idea. Maybe because you're from Kerala, you live in these places and you've grown up there. Maybe it is something you knew. I don't know if most Indians do know this.
It's common knowledge here.
Yeah, I imagine in Kerala. But hey, for those of us not in Kerala and not near Mylapore, this was hopefully a TIL for you. Vineet, I'm not going to let you go though with just this part of the question. I have a follow-up question to this. So there is a St. Thomas Cathedral in Mumbai. This is a 300-year-old cathedral that is made in honor of St. Thomas the Apostle.
Okay. I think it's Apostle. The T is silent. It's been bugging me.
You're kidding me. I've always called it Apostle. Okay. Apostle.
I believe the T is silent.
All right. Just swallowed this one. I tried to fact check Vineet and karma got me back because indeed it is Apostle, and I also swallowed my mic for a second there. I wonder how that sounds in the final edit. Anyways, moving on. Apologies to the listeners who are also bugged. St. Thomas the Apostle. St. Thomas the Apostle's cathedral in Mumbai is called St. Thomas Cathedral. Vineet, my question to you is, how would Mumbaikars know of St. Thomas Cathedral? Apart from the fact that, of course, it is still a famous cathedral, what else on the map of Mumbai has St. Thomas Cathedral left an imprint?
Can be Bandra, right? That's not bad.
No.
Mumbai's geography and things like that? No, I'm not immediately.
Completely fair. I don't expect you to know Mumbai's geography. I don't expect you to know where it is in relation to Andheri and Bandra and Dadar. So that's not the point. But I think there are certain names that most people know if they have visited Mumbai. And this name, I would say, is probably one of the top 5 names that you heard when you were in Mumbai, if you ever visited Mumbai.
Bandstand, but no.
No, Bandstand is in Bandra. This is in South Mumbai.
Not Nariman Point, obviously. Like, you're talking about top 5 places. I'm just going by the top 5 places. Like, when people go to Mumbai, you're like, you have to go there. Bandra Valley Ceiling? No. Then there's Marine Drive, obviously. The Promenade. But what else?
Not as much as a place that you have to go, but you probably will go because it is just central to a lot of things.
Victoria Terminus. No, that's got nothing to do with this.
Victoria Terminus was the old name. CSMT is the current name.
Current name, yes. Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus.
If not for CSMT, the other major train station that you might end up at.
Surla.
Okay. I don't know if this is perhaps slipping your memory right now. Does the name Churchgate ring a bell?
Churchgate. Oh! Yeah. That's stupid. Churchgate. Of course, Churchgate. Why was I thinking Kurla? Okay, Churchgate. Yeah, Churchgate Station. Yeah.
St. Thomas Cathedral.
I'm officially an idiot.
St. Thomas Cathedral was one of the oldest cathedrals in Mumbai. It was inside Mumbai Fort. There was a gate that led to the church. And that area, that gate, everything surrounding it was called the area Church Gate. That's where the name Churchgate comes from. Interestingly enough, in the, I think, mid-19th century, somewhere around that point, the walls of Mumbai Fort were demolished, and so the gate went away with it. So for close to 200 years, that gate has not existed. Instead, a very iconic fountain is there, which is called Flora Fountain over there. Where Flora Fountain is today, people of Mumbai would perhaps be amused, perhaps be titillated to know that an actual gate to a church existed. The church in question was St. Thomas Cathedral. Church Gate was the place in question.
Yeah, I feel really stupid. Church Gate was quite obvious. I should have just thought. I kept focusing on the places that you have to go. But yeah, very, very nice.
Just a related piece of trivia. King George V and Queen Mary, his queen consort, they came, before they went to Delhi Darbar. And Delhi Darbar used to happen where the coronation ceremonies happened for the kings who were ascending the throne, who were being coronated in England. Their coronation ceremony also happened in their Commonwealth countries. I imagine the rest of them also. India, definitely it happened. And this was the third one, though the first one that was attended by the king himself. Before that, I don't think the kings even bothered coming. So King George V came. Before he went to Delhi, they came to this cathedral. There are still the two, I think the seats or the row, wherever they sat, they are still reserved with their names on it.
The pews.
I don't know if it's an entire pew, but definitely the place where they sat. Their names are there, and it still marks their appearance there in 1911. So that's a history of St. Thomas Cathedral and St. Thomas the Apostle in India. All right, Vineet, back to you.
Very nice, very nice. I feel like a right idiot, but still very interesting trivia. Okay, let's stick to this kind of apostles and people landing on the shores of Kerala.
Ooh.
Because I also have a question very similar to that. X is the name of a vanishing group of Sephardic Jews who escaped Spain and Portugal in the 1400s and the 1500s after they fled conversion or persecution in the wake of what is known as the Alhambra decree, which expelled Jews from Spain. They landed on the shores of Kerala and joined Kochi's older Jewish crowd, earning the tag white Jews versus the local dark-skinned black Jews. They swapped their language from Ladino for Judeo-Malayalam, and they worship solely at the X synagogue, which is also the name of the synagogue. It's also the name of this community. This synagogue is also the oldest continuously active synagogue in the British Commonwealth. Most of them emigrated to Israel post-1948, but they shunned marriage with the locals. And as of 2024, just one true ex-Jew hangs on in Kochi. So, my question to you is, what title or what name is given to this group of Jews? And this particular word, or the name of their particular group, is also representative of their foreigner status when compared to the Malabar Jews who were already here many hundreds of years prior to them. So what is the name of this particular group?
Oh, you said Malabar Jews already, because I have, again, I think it is one of the podcasts on Amit Verma's The Seen and the Unseen. By the way, I met him recently. He's a very tall person. Anyways, it's just so funny when you meet your podcasters that you listen to regularly and then you realize, yeah, they have a physical appearance as well. And he's just a tall guy. Never thought of that. Sorry, coming back. I think he invited some historian on his podcast, and they spoke about the Jewish community, the Muslim community, the Christian community in Kerala. So, if I'm not wrong, they were called the Malabar Jews, or were they also called the Cochin Jews?
So the Malabar Jews basically represent the Jewish population who had come in from much earlier, I think, to the land, to trade and whatnot.
Yeah.
These were a specific group of Sephardic Jews. So Sephardic Jews were those from Spain, basically.
Oh, okay.
So the other Malabar Jews trace their origin more to the Middle East and Persia and, places like that.
Got it. Okay.
So when these group of Jews came in, they were obviously foreigners. They were lighter skinned than the local Jews, right? And they had like a foreigner status. So their name reflected that. And so does the name of the synagogue. So if you ever visited Kochi and it's a popular tourist spot.
How did I forget this? I've been to that synagogue. It's Paradesi, something like that.
Very good. Yes, it is the Paradesi synagogue.
I have been to the synagogue. Yeah, of course.
No, I was about to give you Raja Hindustani clue, Subhash Ghai clue.
Amir Khan represent. Oh, lovely. Just to clarify, I've not been inside the synagogue. I don't think I'm allowed to go inside as a non-Jewish person. But I visited the premises, and when I saw the name, I was like, what the hell is happening here? What is Paradesi Jews? And yeah, that's where I first read this history. Lovely.
So the Paradesi Jews, also known as the foreign or white Jews, represent a small Sephardic community. They've settled in Kochi among the larger, older Malabar Jewish community. They trace their origins through immigrants from Sephard, which is Spain and Portugal, who fled persecution and post-conversion following the Alhambra decree of 1492, which expelled Jews from Spain. Arriving between the 15th and 16th centuries, among Portuguese colonial influence, they distinguished themselves from the local Malabar Jews, who were also sometimes called black Jews, due to darker skin tones. They basically earned the name white Jews. Initially speaking Ladino, which is a Judeo-Spanish language, The Paradesi Jews quickly adapted to the new homes by adopting Judeo-Malayalam, a unique Malayalam dialect written in Hebrew. Their sole place of worship, the Paradesi Synagogue in Kochi's Matangeri Jew town, stands as the oldest continuously functioning synagogue in the British Commonwealth, consecrated in 1568 on land granted by the Kochi Maharaja. Adorned with rare 18th century hand-painted Chinese willow patterned floor tiles, Belgian glass chandeliers, and antique Torah scrolls from Europe and Amsterdam, it's a symbol of their privileged status among the local rulers. Tragically, the community has dwindled after the independence in 1947. Most of the population, which is around 2,500 in 1941, emigrated to Israel between 1948 and 1970 as part of Operation Aliyah. Basically, they were drawn by Zionism, and they also adhered to a strict no intermarriage policy with Malabar Jews in order to preserve quote-unquote purity. The 2014 figure of only 7 remaining Paradesi Jews in Kochi, which included a synagogue ticket seller as a sole woman of childbearing age, was accurate at that particular time. As of 2024-2026, as far as I could find, there's just only one full Paradesi Jew surviving. The synagogue now operates via non-Jewish custodians, draws 500,000 tourists yearly. It preserves a fading legacy among India's around 4,000 to 5,000 total Jews, mostly who are Bene Israeli Jews.
Very cool, very cool. I did not know, of course, of all these interesting specifics and stories, but yes, I've been to the location, so I did know of this community. Very nice.
One more interesting fact, India is widely acknowledged as the only country where the Jewish population has never experienced anti-Semitism.
Yeah, I have, where did I recently read this or come across this? Yeah,
Probably Shashi Tharoor. He mentioned it in a couple of interviews, basically.
I think recently there was an interview where he did speak about this, that showed up on my feed as well. Lovely, lovely piece of history, and I'm so glad that my own personal travels have given me an answer that happens rarely, but it's fun when it does happen. Moving on to a person who probably was well-traveled. We are sticking to history for this episode, at least I am. And I think the theme is probably clear to people already of what kind of history. But let's continue. Let's get more to it. Vineet, have you heard of Sir Firoz Shah Mehta?
A name is vaguely familiar, but I cannot place it immediately.
Okay, not really relevant. Just the starting point for the question. Okay. This question has to do with the man X. And this question is purely a lovely bunch of trivia delivery mechanisms. So if you don't know the answer, please don't be hard on yourself. All right.
Oh, thank you.
Sir Firoz Shah Mehta, who was at some point the president of the Indian National Congress as well, started a newspaper, an English language newspaper called the Bombay Chronicle. He employed X as the editor of Bombay Chronicle. X also eventually, many years later, went on to found the tabloid Blitz, co-found the tabloid Blitz. Blitz, if you're not aware, was a pretty famous investigative weekly tabloid newspaper. It is credited with a bunch of big breaking news stories. It is also where R.K. Lakshman's early cartoons were published. So it has claim to fame in a bunch of ways. It also was one of the ones that sensationalized Nanavati's murder case in 1959. So all of these things are related to the Blitz. Coming back to the person in question. So X would go on to co-found Blitz in 1941. X was also the vice president of the Satyagraha Sabha, which Gandhi formed to launch a national campaign against the Rowlatt Act. So when Mahatma Gandhi formed the Satyagraha Sabha to campaign against the Rowlatt Act, this was at a national level, X was made its vice president. Vineet, do you know who X is?
Somebody who was the editor of the Bombay Chronicle and then co-founded Blitz. Why does this seem familiar? And this guy also was part of the Satyagraha movement.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I am fairly conversant with the Blitz, right?
Okay.
Because if I went down on Nanavati rabbit hole a long time ago, and if I'm not mistaken, it was the Blitz's favorable reporting in favor of Nanavati, which swung the initial jury verdict into his favor.
Correct.
And the articles in the Blitz were the ones that were used to ask for a retrial.
So all of those things are very true. And of course, it's been more than 50 years, 60, 70 years now. So there might be some sensationalism that is mixed in with fact. Also, X in question had died way before the Nanavati murder case. So X is not really related to the reporting at that point. But he was, yes, one of the co-founders in 1941 of the tabloid Blitz.
Okay. That's Horniman, not Horniman, right?
Oh my God, Vineet Nair, you are blowing my mind. I truly did not think you will get this.
This is B.G. Horniman.
Benjamin Guy Horniman was a British journalist and editor of the Bombay Chronicle.
I wish this goes out on video. I can show my celebration.
You can show your, This did not have a conceited face before it because you truly did not think that would be the answer. But
no, I did not.
Yes, B.G. Benjamin Guy Horniman was the British journalist in question. The reason I told you everything about him except his ethnicity was because I didn't think you would get to an Englishman before you guessed any Indian person.
Horniman, again, easily rememberable name, was, I think he was the one who was deported for his coverage of Jallianwala Bagh.
Very funnily enough, deported back to England. I just think it's so funny that from India you're being deported back to England. But yes, you are absolutely right. That is another part of the trivia that I loved. That he was a very, very strong proponent of Indian self-determination. He was just appalled at what had happened in Jallianwala Massacre. At great personal risk, he managed to smuggle back pictures to the UK because there was some sort of an embargo on any information going there. So he had to do it illegally. It went there. He, of course, did face some repercussions. There was somebody else who actually went to jail because of it. So there were a bunch of people. Credit to all of them, but yes, to Horniman as well, who on some level of personal risk decided to do this because he truly believed that this was atrocious. And that's where there was a lot of pushback back in England when people found out the kind of massacre that had happened. Because again, as so many of these colonial powers did, they were doing atrocious things, but so many of their own population did not know back home what was being done in their name. A lot of them did know, didn't care, racism, but something like this was not known. And when people in England found out, they were rightfully appalled at what their government had done. So yeah, and credit to Horniman for doing that. He was also a big proponent of the Satyagraha Sabha. He was the vice president of the Home Rule League, which was, by the way, under Annie Besant. So Annie Besant was the president, I guess, and he was a vice president at that point.
And if I remember correctly, Horniman was also a staunch supporter of Nehru and Gandhi, and not so much Jinnah. I think he was very adamantly opposed to the Muslim League in general.
Okay, I did not read that specific part, but I'll take your word for it. And it's lovely because Horniman, who truly strongly believed in India's independence, managed to return, even though he was deported back to England, which I, again, still think is hilarious. He was able to come back to India in January 1926. Like I said, he managed to start the tabloid Blitz, which again has had a significant impact on culture, and went on to see India gain its independence because he passed away 1 year after India gained independence in 1948. So something he probably wished for, hoped for, fought for very strongly, and he did manage to get it. So as opposed to a lot of other places, and here's the connect to the whole episode, as opposed to a lot of other places which carry the stench of colonialism, colonial hangover, the Horniman Circle, which is right next to what I mentioned, Flora Fountain. It's right next to Flora Fountain is Horniman Circle. Horniman Circle carries the name of a white man who earned his place in India's history. So due credit to him and all the work that he did. And in case anybody had not heard of it, Vineet, my man, is too good. Don't know how I can ever stump him. But for the rest of us mere mortals who are not the Lord of Trivia reincarnated, this was hopefully a TIL for you. BG, Horniman just sounds wrong. Sorry. Benjamin Guy Horniman, who is the eponymous Horniman Circle in Mumbai. Again, Mumbaikars would be aware of it.
Do you know that when we say Guy, the actual older pronunciation is Ghee?
Yeah, I do know this. Yeah, this I did know. Unlike the apostle.
Okay, let's move on and let's do something different for a change. Let's move from history to science and with a little bit of etymology here as well. So, In December of 1942, a group of physicists were having dinner at the Purdue University cafeteria. During their conversation, they complained that there was no proper name for a unit used to measure nuclear cross-sections, specifically an area of 10 to the power minus 24 square centimeters. They considered naming the unit after famous scientists, but each option had problems. Some names were too long, some caused confusion, others were already used for different meanings. Finally, drawing from a rural background, one of them suggested a simple everyday word. It fit perfectly because in nuclear physics terms, a cross-section of 10 raised to minus 24 square centimeters was considered very large. And that's how this unit got its name. What is the unit?
You said it has some sort of a rural connect?
Yes.
So then I'm going to guess...
Rather, it was suggested by somebody from a rural background.
But my initial instinct was to say something like the acre or hectare or furlong, but those are already units. That would again be too confusing.
This was not a unit.
And you said it's something very big.
Like when you're looking at from the scale of an atom.
In the perspective of, in the context of nuclear physics. Did you mention where this group of people are meeting? Which part of the world are we at?
Purdue, this is in the US. So Purdue University cafeteria.
So as was the case in Europe, I imagine it was the case in the US as well. Probably the biggest building was the church. Is it the church or is it the cathedral or something like that?
No, nothing like that. Do you want a clue?
Yeah, I'm shooting in the dark.
Actually, my clue is going to be very related to that. So there is an idiom that's used quite often to describe somebody's lack of aim when shooting. And that should directly lead you to the answer.
Shooting fish in a barrel?
No, that's basically doing something really easy.
Oh, so this is the lack of aim. So this is somebody who sucks at it. No idea.
Somebody from a rural perspective, from a rural background, has decided to give this name, which is quite appropriate given the fact that 10 raised to minus 24 is quite large by nuclear cross-section standards. And I've given you a clue that there is, at least in the field of shooting, an idiom to describe somebody who has notoriously bad aim. Put those two things together and see if you can...
The idiom part is currently, I'm drawing a blank on that front. I'm still trying to think of something large. If not for the big building, then I'm going to say something like a farm. Is it the unit called the farm?
No, it's not the farm. You're close, but it's not the farm.
Give me a part of the idiom maybe then, because I have no idea what the idiom is.
Okay, so the idiom would be that he couldn't hit the broad side of a plank.
Of a barn?
Yes, it is a barn. So the barn is the unit for nuclear cross-sections, specifically 10 raised to minus 24 centimeter square. So let me just put everything back into context. Now, they went through many names, okay? Because no standard name existed, they went through many names or brainstorming over a cafeteria dinner. The names that they rejected were Oppenheimer for J. Robert Oppenheimer, but the 4-syllable name was too long for lab shorthand. They couldn't imagine barking out Oppenheimer cross-section in the middle of an experiment. Then they thought of Bethe. Hans Bethe, who was a theoretical physics chief, was ideal, but beta mimicked, beta particles, and Bethe, beta would be confusing. Then they thought of John for John Manley, who was a colleague, but the problem was John also means toilet or outhouse in slang. So they said it was no good, quote unquote. Now then finally Holloway, who had a farm upbringing, basically went from thinking of John meaning toilet or outhouse to barn, which is evocative, folksy, one syllable. And it's often used as, it's as big as a barn, or he couldn't hit the broad side of a barn because it's, it's pretty big. Barns are pretty big. So they thought it was an ironically apt name and they kept it. So 10 raised to minus 24 centimeter square is a barn.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah. I just like units that are sometimes have this folksy kind of origin, and unlike, of course, named after scientists, great, amazing, great job to all those people who have put in the effort, but folksy etymologies are also cute. Speaking of something folksy, or well, at least something that speaks about the folks. Such a bad segue. X is a novel X is an English novel that follows the lives of Becky and Amelia and their friends and families during and after the Napoleonic Wars. X also became the name of a famous magazine. Identify X for me.
Vogue?
No, not Vogue.
I really thought it might be Vogue because, life and times of Becky and Amelia after the war.
Good. No, solid guess. Very solid guess.
Is it an author that I would know?
Before we get to the author, I have another clue for you. The title of the book actually comes, and here's a little Christian connect again, to Christianity connect. The title of the book comes from a Christian allegory written by John Bunyan. This was first published in 1678. In that work, in that allegory, X refers to a stop along the pilgrim's route. The stop is at an event that is never ending, that is being held in a specific town. And all of this is supposed to represent man's sinful attachment to worldly things.
Okay. Is the author Thackeray?
Yes. Tell me what the answer is.
Okay. So it's Thackeray. Clue kind of this is, so they're stopping at an event. And in the medieval period, these kind of events, or at least most of these events, were called fairs. And you mentioned that this is, what do you call it? Something sinful. So I'm guessing the author you're talking about is William Thackeray's novel Vanity Fair, which honestly speaking, I've never read, so I don't know what the novel is. But the clues track.
Well done. Today you are on a roll, sir. You have cracked yet another question of mine that I thought will take you a little longer. And I completely understand you have not read the book. I have also not read the book. But it is considered a pretty essential read, at least in the UK. So one of the books that a lot of, British people read. I'm not sure. But Vanity Fair is a novel by the English author, which follows the lives of Becky and Amelia during the Napoleonic Wars. And it eventually gave rise to the magazine of the same name, which is, of course, Vanity Fair. The hint was about the Christian allegory. This is called Pilgrim's Progress, and that is by John Bunyan. In 1678, he mentioned that a never-ending fair is being held in a town called Vanity, and that is supposed to represent man's sinful attachment to worldly things. So it is a stop along a pilgrim's route, and a pilgrim might encounter a vanity fair, a town called Vanity, a never-ending fair there. That's the worldly attachment. That's where the novel got its name, and that's where the magazine got its name eventually from. Now, Vineet, you have already perhaps sniffed out the theme of questions that I've been asking so far. Do you want to take a guess as to how this is connected?
Something to do with Bombay? So the church and something to do with Bombay, I'm guessing?
Well, the church part, maybe not so much, but yeah, something to do with Bombay. Horniman didn't have anything to do with church.
Yeah, something to do with Bombay. Vanity Fair and Bombay. Is there a Vanity Fair somewhere in Bombay? In Mumbai?
I think you already know the answer. The listeners also already probably know the answers once I start the question. But let me just ask this as a question itself for our Instagram audience eventually. Okay, here's the second part of this question. X was one of the key leaders of the Samyukta Maharashtra Samiti, which campaigned for the linguistic state of Maharashtra. X was a big fan of William Makepeace Thackeray and decided to adopt that into his personal life in some way. Who is X? And way more importantly, who in X's family are we more familiar with today? Vineet, before I finish the question, you knew the answer, and I imagine most people also already did, because you mentioned the author's name in the previous.
William Makepeace Thackeray, which is the origin of Bala Saheb Thackeray's last name.
Very nice. In this case, X is not Bala Saheb Thackeray, though.
No, it's his father. Yeah.
Correct. It is Keshav Thackeray. And Keshav Thackeray was a big fan of William Makepeace Thackeray's work. William Makepeace Thackeray is a white person. He was not Indian at all. I believe he was born in Calcutta, but apart from that, he had no other Indian connection as such. Keshav Thackeray was just a big fan of his writing. His name, when he went to school for the first time, his father had put down the name as Thackeray, as Thakre. So there was some, let's say, familial connection to the name already. He just liked that author so much that he's like, I'm going to change the spelling of my name to be, instead of Thakre, as the English spelling would have been, or back then maybe the Marathi spelling would have been, he decided in English to spell it as Thackeray, which is the spelling of the name of the author of Vanity Fair. The author of Vanity Fair, technically his last name is the name that very prominent political family of Maharashtra, the Thakre family, has adopted. Their last name spelling has come from there. And here's the part that will not show up on our reels, but just an interesting tidbit, that Keshav Thakre was a very prolific author. He has done a bunch of things. He campaigned against superstitions, untouchability, child marriage, dowry, literally the worst parts of our society. He worked against that. So lovely human being, clearly. And one of the things he wrote in his writings was about how the family many centuries ago came from some part of Madhya Pradesh or the Gangetic Plain. So there was some political implications of the fact that the Thakres also many centuries ago, according to Keshav Thakre, came from UP. Make of that what you will. Will not show up on Instagram. Do not want to get cancelled. But you know what? I'll leave it in the podcast for the regular listeners.
Yeah, I'm safe. I'm in Cochin. You're the one in Bombay.
Hey, listen, I think this man did some really good things. So Keshav Thakre should definitely be lauded and applauded. And by the way, because you did get the Mumbai connection, I will give you the specific location connection. I told you about the Samyukta Maharashtra Samiti. They were basically fighting for a separate state for Marathi speakers, because initially the plan was to combine Gujarat and Maharashtra into one state.
Bombay presidency, yeah.
Exactly. The state of Bombay did cover all of that, and India and its independence wanted to continue that. They fought for a Maharashtra state. They finally got that in 1960. There was a fair bit of agitation. Samyukta Maharashtra Samiti, one of the leaders, like I said, was Keshav Sitaram Thakre, his full name. There was this one time in one of the squares in Mumbai that they were doing a protest, and 106 or 105 people, I've seen a few resources, were shot dead by security forces in this agitation. Because there was some agitation that happened, more than 100 people died. And this is, by the way, in independent India. This is in 1955 that 100 people were killed in one protest for the Samyukta Maharashtra, or as it would be, I guess, combined Maharashtra in English.
United Maharashtra.
United Maharashtra is probably the better translation. And I had mentioned to you, by the way, Flora Fountain, where the old church gate used to be. Flora Fountain today sits at Hutatma Chowk. Hutatma Chowk basically means Martyrs Crossroad, which is where these people were shot dead fighting for this cause. So let it all be tied together in your head. Let it all make sense now, hopefully, to whoever is listening. Hutatma Chowk, Flora Fountain, Horniman Circle, all of these things at the same spot. And all of these have such different, interesting, fascinating histories to it. So yeah, that is my big connect for the episode.
Fantastic. And I think that's all the time we have for our regular round of quizzing. Let's get back to the audience question, which I asked at the beginning of the episode. So the audience question was, during England's 1648 Civil War siege of Colchester, Royalists positioned a massive gun atop St. Mary at the Wall church tower, crewed by sharpshooter One-Eyed Jack Thompson, to hammer parliamentarian blinds for 11 weeks, until a counterstrike demolished the wall beneath it, sending both the weapon and the tower crashing irreparably. My question to you is, why am I sharing this with you on a quizzing podcast? What is the funda? Aditya, do you have an idea?
Because, of course, this is a classic trivia question. I think you're talking about Humpty Dumpty, the nursery rhyme.
Of course.
Oh, what? Completely unearned smugness.
No. You are right, but you are also not right at the same time. So, this is widely thought about as to be the origin of the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it was actually not called Humpty Dumpty. This entire legend was made up by the Tourism Board of Colchester in the 1980s. So, Contemporary accounts like Reverend Philip Moran's History and Antiquities of Colchester from 1748 describe the tower collapse and canon loss at St. Mary at the Wall, but omit any name like Humpty Dumpty. This was popularized in 1980 via tourism, specifically the Colchester Tourist Board.
I think you're selling me short there. Because I would have clarified eventually that yes, this is considered one of the legends behind Humpty Dumpty, but most historical sources say that that's not the true case. So my smugness was earned. Thank you very much. Happy to have been of service.
I withdraw my afsos.
Okay. Because I was just like, I came in with so much confidence and now you're telling me it's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Lovely. Vineet, my question to the audience or the audience question part was, in the late 1800s, Raja Bijai Sen, the Raja of Mandi, which is in present-day Himachal Pradesh, wanted to gift something to one of his Ranis. What did he gift to his Rani that we would consider iconic? Definitely in Mumbai, but probably most people across India are also vaguely familiar with it.
I have no idea. You'll have to give me a clue.
I think this is a question that you have asked, or at least a version of this question you have also asked. So let me give you a hint there to something you remember. The next clue is going to be that this is a specific building that he gifted to his wife.
Specific building? Is it one of the older era cinemas or something like that?
No. In this case, we are moving slightly away from South Mumbai. So we're not in South Mumbai anymore.
Okay.
This is in Bandra.
Bandra Bandstand, people go there to see just one building. The only building I can think of, which right now I think is got too much grill work going on the top floors. But I'm not sure it's the right one because if I remember correctly, that was a Parsi. At least it was owned before the current owner, owned by a Parsi family for 100 years or something. No problem.
I have a vague feeling that we have asked this question, that you have asked this question on this podcast. The Parsi family, I think, renamed it to Villa Vienna.
Villa Vienna, yes.
Because they're a fan of Viennese architecture. So you want to tell the audience what the answer is, Vineet?
Oh, yeah, I thought I did. It's Mannat, obviously, Shah Rukh Khan's residence.
Correct, yes. It is a question that we've asked in the past, and I realized that was a history prior to what you had asked me. So I thought I'll add it on to what you have asked me already. Because the historian Braz Anthony Fernandez, in his book Bandra, Its Religious and Secular History, talks about the history of Mannat. It is pretty agreed upon, at least right now in the historians, that this is probably where it originated, where it came from. I read somewhere, I think that was a fast stretch, that there is an M sigil or whatever, an emblem sort of thing in the front of Mannat. And somebody on Reddit was like, that's because of the fact that this king was of Raja of Mandi. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure the Raja of Mandi was not. Firstly, his coat of arms would 100% not be the letter M. I'm pretty sure M just stands for Mannat. But the history is something that people do seem to agree upon. And you're absolutely right. Mannat, Shah Rukh's house, was after this whole royal connection. It was at some point owned by the Parsi family Batliwalas, and it passed around in their family till eventually it was sold to Shah Rukh Khan, and Gauri Khan designed the interiors of it. And yes, there is. How do you know that? How do you know there's grill work happening in Mannat right now?
No, dude, there's like you can see those. Every documentary about Shah Rukh Khan, you can see him like literally standing, and there's a lot of grill work, like grills on the upper floors, which kind.
Okay, you meant that. Okay. No, because there is some little renovation happening, and I was like, do you know what the actual renovation is? It's like, how do you know that grills are being attached to Shah Rukh's house? That's a very specific knowledge that you seem to have.
You never know. I may actually know the man.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised. I won't put it past you. The things you know, you probably know the man also. Apparently, Salman Khan was offered the bungalow before Shah Rukh, and he turned it down because his father said, "Itne bade ghar mein karoge kya? What would you do in such a big house?" And
he stays in Galaxy Apartments, right?
Like literally right down the road. And in the interview, Salman is like, "Now I want to ask Shah Rukh, what does he do in such a big house?"
I think that question should go to Mukesh Ambani more than anybody else.
Oh, that is true. Never mind. Let's not even talk about that monstrosity. I think you had mentioned in the question that you had asked that in the Yes Boss song, Bas Itna Sa Khwab Hai, Shah Rukh passes by this house. And back then, of course, he didn't own it. And literally the lyrics of the song talk about his dreams and his aspirations, how he wants to rule the world. And he's crossing Mannat at that point. And a couple of years later, he owned that house, which he apparently was enamored by during the shoot of that song. So that's a little history for Bollywood fans, for fans of Shah Rukh, of where his house comes from. By the way, the whole episode today, all of these things were because of one comment on one of the reels I posted recently, where I talked about New York and Alphabet City. And one of the commentators...
I saw the comment.
Yeah, and they said, why not cover India? And I was like, you know what? I live in Mumbai. I'm going to do something for Mumbai. And just there are like 20 other pieces of trivia that I found. Because literally you just go out to any place and you find the name. And then you go into the history of it. It's super fun. So I'm going to stick to just that one location, Ornament Circle, and Hutatma Chowk, and Flora Fountain, and Churchgate, and all of that. And of course, Mannat also.
Okay, great. Aditya, do you want to now ask the smack for next week?
Love it. It's such a good name.
I could make like a parody song, smack that.
No,
every week, smack that.
No, not at all.
No?
All right. So for our smack, which is going to be, as usual, a visual question, I'm going to share a picture. And as is the theme been of this episode, it's a historic picture of Mumbai. My question to you is very simple. At this location today, what would you find? This is a historic picture. Something new is at this location. Tell me, at this location today, what in Mumbai would you find? Tell us in our social media. Tell us on our social media, on Instagram, on Reddit. And the first person who gets the answer will get a shout out in the next episode.
Yes. So fastest fingers first, people. Start to wind it up. What are your pop culture recommendations for this week?
I'm going to stick to my theme. I've been doing some Mumbai related stuff. So I'm going to tell you films from Mumbai.
You do realize the Bollywood industry is based in Mumbai.
Most films are made in Mumbai. Most Hindi films are made in Mumbai. But no, I don't mean what films are made in Mumbai, rather which films feature Mumbai prominently as a very core part of its narrative. And those are the films that I'm going to talk about. Let me randomly give you some of the ones that I remember. There is Dhobi Ghat. I mentioned that earlier. So Dhobi Ghat. One of the films that I think is a lovely piece of Bollywood, like a quintessential Bollywood, Once Upon a Time in Mumbai, I think is a fun film. Gully Boy very features Mumbai very, very prominently, parts of Mumbai very prominently. There is that. There is a Shootout at Lokhandwala. Again, a super fun film. I think it's a lovely piece of cinema if you like classic Bollywood. Wednesday features Mumbai pretty prominently. And let me give you one last one, which is Satya. Satya is my last recommendation. And these are some classic Mumbai as almost a character films.
I was about to mention that if you don't mention Mumbai, then that's Satya, then that's going to be a horrendous gap. I would also recommend Salaam Bombay with that list, and obviously Bombay by Mani Ratnam. So,
how did I forget Bombay? Of course, yes.
Yeah, and I think you can also put in Life in a Metro, the 2007 Life in a Metro.
Yeah,
it was also pretty good. Yeah, okay. I basically second Aditya's recommendations, and I'm also going to add one recommendation of my own, because as we are recording this, the world is on the precipice of war, with Donald Trump being increasingly unhinged and Pete Whiskey Hegseth having fired 10 or 12 American generals, possibly because they disagreed with his insane plan to do whatever manic thing that he wants to do next. So he's gotten rid of even the last line of defense that American common sense had. And now it's just up to them. So this is a movie which I feel may reflect the realities of tomorrow, even though I pray it's not. It's a movie by Catherine Bigelow, and the movie is called House of Dynamite. It stars Rebecca Ferguson, Idris Elba, and basically, if I wanted to tell you the synopsis in one line, the American people, the American government detect a launch of a missile towards the American mainland. And the next 1.5 hours of that movie, some of the most tense instances that have been put on screen. And I want to say the ending is a little haunting. I'm not going to spoil it anymore. Just go watch it. House of Dynamite by Catherine Bigelow. Very, very topical. Also quite depressing in this particular aspect. Yeah, I think it's quite accurate.
If you're gonna recommend Catherine Bigelow, you have to mention Hurt Locker, and definitely shout out to Zero Dark 30 as well. Yeah, some phenomenal filmmaking. And Hurt Locker was one of my favorite Oscar moments because Catherine Bigelow was she the first? I think she was the first, or one of the first or second
female
director to win Best Director at the Oscars. Right when her ex-husband was also nominated for one of his biggest films, the one that he's been obsessed for I don't know how many decades, James Cameron for Avatar. And I'm kind of glad that Hurt Locker won again. I don't know if they have any animosity. I think they are on good terms. But it's just nice that his magnum opus and she came with this nice, gritty, such a good film. Hurt Locker is one of my favorite war films. And yeah, lovely, lovely film, well-deserved Oscar. And Catherine Bigelow is truly a woman who knows what she's doing.
Yeah, and let's just go back and also appreciate that Catherine Bigelow has done movies which have also affected pop culture apart from, Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. People remember her from the Hurt Locker days. I would say go back and watch K-19, The Widowmaker, Point Break, which is one of the most seminal movies of the 90s. It defined Keanu Reeves.
The hairstyle in that film.
The hair were paid actors in those movies. Right. And Blue Steel. Basically, that's also, I think, what is the name? Jamie Lee Curtis. Jamie Lee Curtis and Blue Steel. And that's all the time we have for this week's episode. Thank you all for listening in. We hope you enjoyed the show and learned something new. If you liked what you heard, please share, subscribe, follow on whichever platform you're listening to us on or seeing us on. Recommend us to somebody else. If there are questions that you want asked on the show, please feel free to send them to us at ayuquizme@gmail.com with the name of the quizmaster in the subject line. Aditya posts Instagram quizzes every Sunday, so head over to Instagram every Sunday to check out those quizzes, participate, and then let us know how you did. And obviously, we'll be doing smacks every episode. We have now, gotten to this name. This is the best name possible. We are not going to deviate from this. So smack that, and be the first one to smack that.
I love it. I'm so happy with this name. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. So that's all, guys. I'm literally giving you the space to say whatever you want.
I'm going to end this episode with I can't top it. Smack that. Smack that is the way we end this episode. What is happening? Sorry, one more time. Third time's the charm.
Smack that every week. Smack that on Instagram. Smack that on Reddit now. Smack that